Hey guys, this is Dr. Casey Johnson. Thank you so much for taking time to listen to the Unlock Wellness podcast. I know you're going to love today's episode with Angela Means Kaaya. Angela is doing some amazing work, so I'm excited to have her on today to share her story with you guys. If you've been loving the Unlock Wellness podcast, be sure to jump on iTunes, subscribe, and write a review. It really helps me out a lot, and I really appreciate all of the feedback and support. Also, be sure to follow me on social media to keep up with the latest podcast episodes. The best way to connect with me is on Instagram and Facebook. My username across the board is at Dr. Casey Johnson. That's DrKasey Johnson. You can also check out my website at drkaseyjohnson.com. It has all of the past podcast episodes and more information about each guest under the Listen tab. While you're on my site, be sure to check out the Shop tab, where you can check out my first book of my Healthy Children's Book series and learn about the Unlock Wellness Project, which applies a wellness bag to a child in need for each book purchased. Thank you again for listening. I hope this episode leaves you feeling inspired to start making positive changes to your health. Now it's time for today's episode. I hope you love my conversation with Angela Means Kaaya. Welcome to the Unlock Wellness podcast. I'm Dr. Casey and excited for today's guest. I'm here with Angela Means. And you probably recognize Angela as Felicia from the movie Friday. And she's also known for doing stand-up comedy openings for people like Chris Rock and Jamie Foxx. But she's just an extremely talented person and also extremely passionate about wellness and cooking. And she recently used those passions to open a plant-based restaurant called Jackfruit Cafe. And I'm excited for her to share her own wellness journey and just talk about her new restaurant. So Angela, thank you so much for taking time to come on. I know it's early over there for you, but just thank you so much for coming on. I'm excited to have you.
Thank you. That was such a great intro.
Oh,
Thank you. It was worth it.
You're awake now, right?
Yeah, exactly. Wow, that's me? No, okay.
But yeah, no. So Angela, why don't we jump into your backstory a little bit? Kind of walk us through, kind of what your childhood was like. What your your health and wellness was like as a younger child, and then just how that evolved with you as you got more into your professional life, and just kind of walk us through it.
Awesome. Well, I grew up eating chitlins and pig feet on a farm in Michigan. And it's funny, we were healthy as bulls, as they say, and cleaned our plates of all of that stuff and animal products, but I realized back then too that we weren't eating in large amounts that we are now too. Mm-hmm. But yeah, I grew up on a farm, humongous family, extended family, grew up with lots of love and joy and lots of great memories. My mother was, she was so into vegetables and salad. I remember there was an apple on the counter every day.
It's awesome.
And I can hear her say, "You make sure you eat that apple."
Well, that's cool because you guys probably, had a pretty large garden. So you got to see that kind of thing at an early age then, right?
Yeah. So here's the thing. It's, it all makes sense that the plants and the trees, especially fruit, it's giving it to you. It's offering it. It's like, here, I'm in your face, pick it. And and I'm still okay. Whereas when we eat animal, there's no pig offering you its foot. Saying, here, have some pickled pig feet.
Right.
It's running from us like, oh my God, this person's trying to eat me.
Right.
So it's like you look at animals, they know what to do and they just do it. And, our free will gets us in trouble. But childhood was great. And then I started, I've got severe wanderlust, severe. I've done so many different things, lived so many different places. And so I left, I started modeling, and that took me everywhere. And I worked with a lot of amazing designers, top designers. And then I had a lot of things in between that, that formed who I am. I'm a hard worker, and I just look at stuff for what it is. And um, so I actually stopped eating meat on the farm when I realized, exactly we were eating friends. And when I started modeling, doctors were like, you're anemic, you got to eat meat. And then I started again. And then when I had my son, I was, a little nervous about not giving him meat. And so, but he had tons and tons and tons and tons of salads, just salads.
So did you raise him as a vegan then?
No. No. By that time I had, gone through the show business. I'd done a series on Nickelodeon, did the Friday thing.
Everybody loves Cousin Skeeter. I mean, you can't go.
I know, right? It was such a great project.
It's awesome.
So I was my mindset was in the flow with everyone else, and I listened to the conventional doctors, and Bradley was on milk and, and all that other stuff. And he, as a matter of fact, stopped drinking milk himself when he was about 7. He realized his severe sinus issue was from milk. He was 7 years old and said, "Mama, I don't want it."
Isn't that cool? And just the awareness.
Yep. Well, he's a free thinker. He's been allowed to think critically since he was a kid.
How old were you whenever you said that you stopped eating meat, like on the farm? Like, were you about that same age, or were you a little bit older?
I was about that age. I had an older cousin, Midgie, and she was like my hero. She was a couple of years older than me, and whatever she did, I did. And when she stopped eating meat, I stopped eating meat. And then, and then it sunk in, like, why we really did this. And then it went beyond just her. But because of the situation, we lived on a family farm. There was a lot of family members that lived on this family farm. And then our family wasn't as free as raising me as I was with Bradley. So I had to, after a while, they were like, "No, you have to eat meat. You're not going to get sick. We can't afford to have any kids out here sick."
Right. Because they just didn't have, they didn't get it or have the resources like we do now.
Yeah, you tell a pig farmer don't eat pig, he's looking at you like you're out your damn mind.
Right. But hey, so during like your professional career, how was your health during in the peak of your acting career? Because I'm sure just that lifestyle is just so crazy and hectic and stressful. Like, how were you able to maintain that during that, or was it just really hard?
Well, like most young ladies, I was anemic, but I was not. Here's what I had. I had poor mental health, and I know that it came from eating tortured, doped up baby animals, and I had feelings of anxiety. I mean, I would get attacks and just the sky was falling. I remember the first one I got, I was about 22, and I didn't know what it was. And I was like, man. So I had good health. I didn't have any issues because around that time, I hardly even ate anything. When I was modeling, I was surviving on, and I was smoking. So I was surviving on.
I'm sure. I mean, I can't imagine what the social pressures are like as a model. And I mean, especially then as well, because it's like, I feel like everybody is speaking out more against it now. But I mean, how much you have to put yourself through on a mental level just to stay up to date with everybody else. It's just it's so unhealthy.
But I had, I went years without being conscious and going back to understanding that, it's the meat. I completely abandoned that school of thought during my 20s. And then, because I didn't, that was kind of sacrilege to my family. Right. I love my family, and, to go against meat is it's absurd. And so I never even educated myself on what these things. I remember a friend talking to me about being lactose intolerant, and I had never even heard of lactose. I mean, I knew about intolerance, but but I was like, oh my God, you're absolutely right. Oh my God, milk tears me up. And you got to have milk in your cereal. So, I went a huge amount of time without being conscious. And then when I hit my 30s, I just started waking up, and then still didn't make the transition. And then when Bradley was heading off to college, I got super depressed and started comforting myself with food. And I'm a great cook and have the means. So, girl, I was cooking and eating, cooking and eating. And I ballooned up. I was a size 22.
Wow. When was that?
That was very recent. It was 5 years ago.
Wow, that's crazy.
I was a size 22. I was pre-diabetic. I could not stand up in the morning because of the aches and the pain. And my son was on the other side of the country. My son went to the University of Miami, and something just said, Ange, get it together. Because when I really accepted that he was, he went to school, I wanted him to leave the state.
Right. And he plays football over there, right? Or just finished up?
Yeah, he finished up over there.
That's cool.
Yeah, and I said, he's a grown man now, but also understand that you only had one child. And if you don't take care of yourself, you're going to be a burden to your one child. So I literally, it was like, I woke up and one morning and I went and got a juicer, and here we are now.
That's awesome.
It was a bumpy start. Girl, I was juicing so-and-so. I was juicing. I remember the first time I juiced, I went, I bought bags and bags and bags of produce. And I'm just gonna, I'm gonna prep and I'm gonna get ahead of this thing, right? So I juice about 4 gallons of green juice.
Wow. That's a lot of if you're listening and you've never juiced before, it takes a lot of produce to make juice because it's so concentrated. Yep. I mean, it's amazing, but it takes a lot.
I mean, I went to the farmer's market. So come to find out, juice doesn't really last as long as I intended it to. So that was the first go around. But
were you doing juice fast, or were you just adding it into your day to day, trying to eat healthier, adding in the juice, or were you just trying to detox?
I didn't know what I was doing, but I knew that I had to start there. Mm-hmm. So I kept going and I kept making the juice. And I remember I was making it all throughout the day. And then, as you know, and as anyone knows who starts with juice, the transformation started and my body accepted it. And my white blood cells got to dancing. They were doing the electric slide and the hustle. They were like, yeah, we got some great juice. So I kept going. And then I started sharing with others. And before I knew, I had a client that I was working for, and I was cooking for and juicing for. And then before I know it, I had another client, and I started cooking and juicing for. And then that led me to create a line of raw cuisine that I carried in a juice bar. And I had some raw desserts. And I did kelp pastas and zucchini pasta, and a couple of salads. And then I did some desserts. I did a key lime, some cheesecakes and
yeah. There's some cashew cheesecake, stuff like that.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And then I convinced the juice bar to let me in further, and they didn't have a manager, so I started running operations. And it's so funny, this was kind of aligned with with when Bradley left, because it happened so fast. Like, I'm such a quick study. Like, literally within the time that I started juicing to when I was running the operations, it literally was just months. And
That's crazy.
I wanted to learn the business. I don't know why I wanted to learn the business, but I wanted to learn it. And I kind of had an inkling that, this was how I was going to be able to help people through, a food outlet. And that was in the back of my mind to do it. And as I started learning and learning and learning, I stayed there for 3 years. And then they went public and they bought me out with shares. So then I just, within 2 months, opened Jackfruit Cafe.
That's awesome. So what was the weight loss progression for you? Because I mean, I've seen recent pictures, and I mean, you look amazing. So I'm like, you're definitely not a size 22 anymore.
I know. I went from a 22. I think I'm in between an 8 and a 10 now.
That's awesome. How quick, did the weight come off pretty quickly for you, or was you just pretty steady over a few years?
Well, because I was still consuming some of the things, just chicken. I didn't eat too much. I wasn't eating, what am I saying? I was eating everything. I was still eating that stuff. So what I was doing, I guess you're right. I was detoxing. Mm-hmm. So I was getting things out, but I was still putting things in. So it was kind of leveling off, but the weight was coming off. It wasn't melting off, but it was coming off.
But it was enough to keep you encouraged to keep going, which was, I mean, all you needed, really.
Yes. But then once I eliminated the meat, it just melted off. Like, I went from a 22, I think, to with just the juicing and still eating crappy. Mm-hmm. I went from a 22 to maybe a 16, maybe. And that encouraged me. And then once I eliminated the meat, and I'm such a cold turkey person. I used to smoke, and when the doctor told me we planned Bradley, and when he told me that we did it, I was like, okay, well, this is real. I just cold turkey stopped.
That's awesome.
Yeah, and so I just stopped meat, literally cold turkey, just stopped.
Was there a tipping point to where you just had a day where okay, done with meat, or what kind of made you decide that you were going to do that on that specific day?
I wanted to help people. Mm-hmm. And I knew that this Felicia thing came back for a reason, and it came back strong. And I think that it gave me a voice, and I had to take it serious, and I had to go all the way, because this had fallen in my lap, and I had to honor it. So I had to go all the way.
That's awesome.
So once I realized the responsibility that was given to me and all the tools that were just given to me, I had to honor them, and I had to put my money where my mouth was, or however that slogan is. I had to do the right thing, because the time is now. So many people are sick. Mm-hmm. So many people are depressed. So many people are losing their lives, and they don't have to. So I went over to my last plate of meat was fried catfish at Mel's Fish on Jefferson and Crenshaw. And I went by myself. I ordered some catfish and greens, and I got the works, and I sat there and I watched them train this young kid on how to fry fish and run their operation. I sat at the counter, and I only got through half of the fish, and then that was it.
That's crazy. It's so cool to just hear how perfect timing everything is, and how everything just plays out for a reason. You had to gain that much weight so you could lose it, so you could help others do the same thing. And
yes,
you had to that whole Felicia meme had to come back so you could get all of the attention to promote what you're doing. Isn't it just so amazing how perfect timing is when you're doing the right thing and you're aligned with what you're supposed to be doing?
Everything is timing.
Yeah.
Everything. Everything. Even at McDonald's or Burger King, there's a certain time you have to put the pickle on the burger.
Right.
It's ketchup, mustard, pickle.
Right. No, it's great. And I loved how you talked about just how powerful like mindset is, because like your smoking example, and it's crazy because like I give that example all the time. It's like when people say like, oh man, I could never quit eating cheese or I can't give up sugar. It's like your mind is so much more powerful than you give it credit to. Like people that are addicted to smoking, like you were talking about, like that's, I mean, a very hard addiction for people to break, but people can do it just like that when they find out something, when they have a bigger why. Like your bigger why was your son. Like your mind is so much more powerful than people give it credit for. And I love that you brought that up, because it's just so true.
It's very true. I've given up just been, your mind is very, very powerful, and you can, people tell me all the time, oh, no, I got to have my meat. I'm like, no, your palate has to have meat, not you. It's your palate. So but you have to be honest. That's the thing too. You have to be honest with yourself and understand, like you said, the bigger calling. And when you use the bigger calling, when you're honest with the bigger calling, it's like, I'm pregnant. That's the honest fact. I've seen, So, yeah.
Yeah, no, it's amazing. And since we were just talking about it, like I have to hear your perspective on that whole "Bye Felicia" meme coming back. I don't think we can not. And that, like, how? I mean, I'm sure that's been a whirlwind for you. Like, I don't even how did that even like come up again? Like, I don't even know. It just came out of nowhere, and now it's everywhere.
I was chosen to do something. The universe obviously wants me to do it. It's not about me. It's not about, oh yeah, look at me. I'm, my character's a social icon. Yeah, me. It's not what it's about. It's so obvious to me that I'm supposed to use this. And you know what? One of the campaigns I'm going to do with it is we're going to stop saying bye Felicia, and we're going to say bye diabetes. Bye cancer.
I love it.
Right?
Bye
Anxiety. That's what we're going to do with it. So, he who has been given much, much is required. And I've been given something humongous. And trust me, I work 13 hours a day to serve it. So
yeah, and let's talk about your new restaurant for a little bit. So your new restaurant is Jackfruit Cafe, and Angela, it's funny, like because I'm over in Florida, so I'm not over in California, so where I can just see it in person. But like I'm sure we have a lot of common people that we follow on Instagram, just in the plant-based vegan world. But I saw it on John Lewis's Instagram page, and that's where I first saw where you opened it, which he's amazing.
I know, it's like blown away when he got behind us. That was just like an eye opener right there.
That you're doing the right thing. Yeah, no, for sure.
That I'm walking the right road.
Right. So tell me like about the restaurant. Like, obviously, if you're listening, you don't know what Jackfruit is. It's do you want to talk about it? Just how you came up with the name, how like different things on your menu, what people can find there?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, Jackfruit Cafe speaks for itself. It's based around the amazing jackfruit. When we cook it young, it's a tropical fruit. It mostly comes out of Thailand and India. And when we cook it before it ripes, it takes on a meat-like texture. It's not as tough as meat, but it takes on a great texture. We make tacos and burritos, and I do it in barbecue. I'll do it in like 5 different sauces that I rotate: curry, Korean barbecue, jerk, teriyaki. I'm adding jackfruit pita. So I came up with the concept because, again, with keeping in how am I going to serve? Once I discovered jackfruit, I was like, this is it. It was just a light went off. And I saw it. I said, I want to do it like, just have it ready, and you pick which one you want, and you pick which dish you want it to go in.
That's just cool.
That simple. And it's on a steam table. So people are able to sample the different flavors throughout the day. And I wanted a place where people can come and feel safe about the advice that they're given and not be bullied or badgered or because I understand that some people vibrate lower, some people vibrate higher, some people are going to let some things in, and it's all about how they. So people are coming in, people are emailing all the time. That's why I couldn't find that email. It's like I'm getting bombarded with questions, and
It's awesome
for
though.
me, yeah, it is awesome. For me, it's like it seems like, well, just stop eating meat. Just here's a can of jackfruit. Go saute it and put some barbecue sauce on it. But people are still, still led by fear because they're eating doped up, tortured baby animals.
Right. And I mean, you kind of mentioned that earlier, and it's like, whatever that animal is consuming, you're getting, and they are drugged up. And like, I mean, stuff like, like obviously like antibiotics, which I think most people know, but even things like Prozac and birth control, and like you're taking that in too, and that's becoming part of who you are. And then, I mean, we have more of an anxious, stressed out society more than ever. And it just all comes back to like, what are you fueling your body with? Because that's literally becoming what you are.
Energy, and the energy transfers too.
Yeah.
It's like, and I remember those days of just like, sometimes I would feel enraged, and it's like, why? And I would be in the middle of like, giving someone a piece of my mind, and it's like, what are you doing? Oh my God.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, I mean, for sure. And like, how has the restaurant, like, how's the response been in the community? Because like, I mean, is that kind of restaurant, that type of outlet, do you guys like in that community, is that common, or were you kind of like the first there to kind of bring that?
I'm the only all vegan restaurant on Crenshaw. There's another one about 5 miles away to the north, and then in Inglewood, maybe about 10 miles away, there's a soul food, Vegan Soul. But Vegan Soul in Inglewood, it's called Stuff I Eat, and Jackfruit are the only vegan soul food restaurants in southern LA.
That's cool. Yeah. So
Yeah.
it's just bringing like, just having, like you were talking about it being, kind of like a safe haven for people that want to learn more and learn the right information, and obviously enjoy amazing food. But like, just giving the people the option of, if they do want to go out to eat, like they have a place to go and they don't have to go eat
My
somewhere bad.
mission, here's my mission is to help people transition.
Mm-hmm.
And so with the jackfruit and that meat-like texture, I'm not trying to like reinvent the wheel and create these new sort of cuisines and these new sort of dishes. I'm mimicking the dishes that people down here in southern LA are used to. So I have the and it is the lesser of two evils. So I do fried things that mimic fried chicken. If you batter up some cauliflower and cook it at the right amount of the right temperature at the right time, it will mimic chicken.
That's cool.
It will mimic chicken. You will get such a great experience from it. I have people who come in and they're eating it every other day. And then some days it's like, listen, there's no fried foods today. I just literally turn the fryer off and we're all eating collard greens and black eyed peas today. But that's my mission, is to just, I'm mimicking foods that people like to eat, just to show them you can eat and not consume animal. Because what I tell people too is that when you consume flesh, the first thing it starts, as soon as you kill a mammal, it starts to decompose. That second, it's starting to decompose. Put it in the refrigerator all you want. The minute you take it out, it's decomposing. You consume it, you have decomposing flesh in your body. Now it's going in all those little nooks and crannies, especially if you're not consuming fruits.
Right.
You have to have fruit to clean your insides out. That's all disease is
fiber deficiency.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah. No,
So,
that's amazing. I love all of that. And like, what would you say, Angela, has been the hardest part about opening the restaurant, or has it come pretty easy to you, or like what's been the biggest challenges for you getting everything together?
um, not having enough hours in the day. It's
Hey,
all,
that's a good problem then. That means you're,
yeah.
passionate and loving what you're doing. I love
Oh
that.
man. I sometimes I have to catch myself and I'm like, why are my cheeks hurting like this? I swear to God, it's like I'll be making a burrito and I'll just be cheesing. I mean, I get up and I can't wait to get there. And like I said, I do 13 hours a day, sometimes more, but it's my life. The challenges, the space I'm in, I share with a donut shop. Um, Challenges. It's a great question. Just, not having enough time. I just got help in. I had been doing all of this by myself, like
Hmm.
shopping, cooking, taking the order, cooking the order, taking the payment, plating, um, everything, the social media, all of that. I think the most challenging is just not having enough time to do everything that I want to do. Yeah.
Yeah. No, that's yeah. Like I said, that's not a bad problem. I'm glad that you're loving what you're doing and just helping
Yeah.
so many people. It's just amazing.
And
And
they're listening to me. They're listening. I got a guy whose diabetic count went from 10.7 to 8.4.
it's awesome.
Getting
So
off
cool.
meat. Yeah, I've got people coming back in talking about how they feel. I have the Impossible Burger. Have you
I
had?
saw that. No, I haven't. I mean, I've heard a lot about it. I know, like, I mean, even like I saw like where like Jaden Smith was like pushing it. Like, I mean, everybody's talking like really amazing things about it.
I it, you don't know that you're not eating meat.
That's
So that
crazy.
alone really lines up with our mission at Jackfruit. So just introduce that. Oh, I had a point. I lost my train of thought because it's so exciting to have this. I'm sorry, but we carry the Impossible Burger. I had to throw that out there.
Yeah,
It's
no, that's awesome. That's amazing. And like, so I know you talked a little bit about just things you're working on, but is there anything happening in like the future that you just want to share with people, or just continuing just to continue to put out more content and just share what you're doing?
Yeah, I'm just gonna. I've been led by. I follow the signs. You know, I have you ever read The Alchemist?
I haven't. No, I've seen it. Like I've seen like the cover of. Like I know what the book
Read
cover
it.
looks. I haven't read it. I'll write it down though.
Read it. Read it. It's part of everything. Your consciousness and being aware is part of everything. You create your own world, and don't be afraid. You have to go. You've got to fall. You've got to stumble, but you also have to pay attention as you're going. You matter. You matter. You're here. That means you matter. So, and I know all of this is so just I'm just going to keep following I'm going to keep following my bliss. I'm going to keep following my humanitarian mission, and I'm going to keep bringing great food to people and continue to encourage people to stop eating doped up tortured baby animals.
That's awesome. I love it. You need to have like a success wall on your for all of the people whose numbers go down and their weight goes down. Like that would be cool.
Oh my God, great idea.
Yeah, yeah. Instead of like, because when you go to restaurants and there's like pictures of famous people, you have like your success pictures. Like that would be awesome.
I love it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's awesome. But yeah, so Angela, what is the best way for people to follow you on social media? That way they can keep up with everything you're doing, the restaurant, just everything.
It's everything is Jackfruit Cafe, one word, on Twitter. And I'm really active on IG, Instagram, um, and Facebook. It's all Jackfruit Cafe. You can find it all. And I respond and I have fun, and I let people know, day to day and what's going on. I even, God, I don't know if I did it. I fell back to sleep this morning. I had to remind people that we open at 3 today. Today's Wednesday, right?
Today is Wednesday.
Okay,
I had to look too.
The days run together when you love what you're doing. I promise you this. I promise. So
that's awesome. Well, I'll add all of those links in the show notes. That way people can just click and go follow you. Okay. But Angela, just closing question that I ask every guest. But if you just had one piece of advice for the audience, maybe it's something that's been your biggest takeaway through this whole journey, but if you just had one piece of advice to give, what would it be?
Love thyself. There's a reason the airlines tell you to put the air mask on first. There's a reason. Love yourself first. I could go on about what I should tell people, but just understand that, and no just means not right now. Mm-hmm. And fail. You have to fail. You're not going to come out and just start winning. People make things look easy because they're doing what they're supposed to do. That's why people but nothing is ever easy. Trust me. If this restaurant thing were easy, it's the hardest thing I've done in my life. And some days I feel like I'm going to just pass out, or I'm going to snap, or it's hard, but it brings me so much joy. And I'm from a farm, so my job was to wake the rooster. I mean, I've been since I was 5 years old. Yeah. But love yourself, and then understand what you need and how you want to feel. I wanted to feel good. I wanted to be smaller. So no one's responsible for me but me. I went and bought the juicer. I changed my diet. I did these things for me. And now I can't stop smiling. And and have goals. My goal was to feel better. And now I feel right. So I did everything, and there's no excuses. There's no excuses. You just do. And you make life is so good. Life is yummy. It's so good.
That's awesome. No, that's perfect, Angela. And just thank you so much for taking time to come on. I know you had to get up early for this one, but I appreciate you taking the time. It was a lot of fun, and just excited to share your cafe with everybody.
Oh, thank you, darling. Thank you so much. I appreciate you.
No problem. And Angela, I think it would be wrong if I didn't close with bye, Felicia.
All right, darling. Thank you so much for having me. I appreciate you.
Thank you guys so much for listening to today's episode. I hope you loved my conversation with Angela. She's just so passionate about her work, and I know she's going to change so many people's lives. Be sure to give Angela a follow on social media to keep up with the amazing things that she's doing. You can find her social media links and website that we talked about in the episode in the show notes, but you can also find them on my website as well at drkaseyjohnson.com. That's DRKASEY Johnson.com. Click on the Listen tab. Then from there, you'll be able to see all of the past guests that have come on the Unlock Wellness podcast, read a little bit about each guest, and be able to click on their social media links, websites, all of that. So all of Angela's information can be found on my site as well. If you guys loved today's episode with Angela, be sure to jump onto iTunes, subscribe, and write a review. It really helps me out a lot, and I really appreciate all of the feedback and support. Thank you guys so much again for tuning in to today's episode. I hope you loved it. I hope it inspires you. And most importantly, I hope you take action.